Hello, everybody. Hello. It is episode 7 we're discussing tonight. This is the Halo After Show, and episode 7 is Sewed. But before we get started talking about this stinker of an episode,
Oh
spoiler
yeah,
alert,
yeah. Spoiler: this one wasn't a good one.
we are Dad and Rock. We do this each and every week. We do Halo After Show. Well, weekend, either Fridays, Saturdays, depending on what we got going on. But we got other Halo, or not other Halo stuff. We got other after shows.
I was gonna say, what other stuff do you know of that I don't know about?
We've done Ted Lasso and all the Marvel properties and Star Wars stuff. So stay tuned. We'll be doing The Boys coming up here in June.
Oh, I just
Uh,
watched that trailer again earlier before we got going here.
yeah,
I'm so pumped for that show.
I'm pumped, especially after the stinker of a Halo episode. Let's get into it, shall we?
Okay, so I was like starting with this. What was your initial reaction once the episode ended? Once it cut the black?
Once it ended, I was just, I don't know. I guess I was glad it was done. Like, there was nothing necessarily so bad about it, but it was a whole episode of characters that these are the characters I'm least invested in, out of this whole series. So to spend an entire episode with them, it didn't do its job, because I think the point of spending that much time with them is to kind of endear you more to the characters,
Yeah,
and it didn't do that for me at all.
dude. I've had nothing but glowing things to say about this show from day one.
Yeah,
This one here, I had a hard time sitting back and rewatching for notes purposes.
yeah,
I was like, I was dreading hit and play. I was thinking about going ahead and trying to make the notes just based off memory because I didn't want to watch it again because I
right,
don't care about Kwan, quite frankly, and they're building her up to be such a huge part of the show,
right.
and I don't understand the purpose of it. We got to make Madrigal this important to the whole, the Halo storyline universe.
It seems so separate from the other stuff that's going on. That's what I mean, maybe they'll tie stuff in later. And you and I were actually, there's a point, the first 2, 3 episodes, where you and I were fairly invested in the Quan storyline. We didn't mind it as much, but they were spinning their wheels so much through episode 4 or 5, and then, well, not 6, because they weren't in 6. And then last episode, when we didn't get them at all, I thought last episode was a great episode.
Oh, the last episode was one of the best episodes we've had to this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, but to your point, that episode 5, I think it was, when we had to go ahead and suspend belief that this little 100-pound girl could get the jump on
On
Soren
Soren.
because she was hiding under a pile of dirt
Under
that
some
he would
dirt.
never have seen.
Right.
So that was when I started just like just completely like, no, what, I can't. I'm out. Let's go ahead and do the rest of what's going on.
And we'll get into it as far as the actual plot of this episode, but they pulled some stuff that I was just totally confused
Well, there
by.
was some weird time jumpy stuff
Really
that
weird.
was going
Yeah.
on. It's like we don't know of like any type of like
It
beam
seems
me
like
up Scotty type,
it's
transportation they've got.
yeah, it seemed like this episode was a matter of days maybe for Quan, but then a matter of maybe weeks for Soren. I mean, he goes all the way back home and then comes back.
Well, yeah.
Uh,
Well, somehow, like, Kwan, she's in that like doom buggy and she's racing towards that
the
that
sandstorm.
sandstorm.
Yeah.
And at this very time, which when I seen that originally, my brain was like, okay, this is immediately after she goes ahead and shocks him. She
Yeah.
doesn't shoot him. She gets in the buggy and goes.
Right.
But when they cut away from her, Soren's back on the
Soren's
Rebel.
home. Right. Yeah.
Telling stories about how, he didn't lose her or how he crashed his ship or birds or some kind of this BS
Right.
that he's feeding these people that are just, drinking it up.
It was very poor, right? This shows had fairly good writing and pacing and switching in between the different storylines and plots. This episode was just not it. We'll get into it. I'll mention a couple extra things here too, but yeah, it starts out with a flashback, a Quan flashback, a
Which,
totally unnecessary flashback.
yeah, no, it wasn't necessary at all. Basically for us to know that she told her dad to stop feeding his soldiers BS or lies. Why is that necessary?
Which is even antithetical to the point of view that she has now. Basically, it seems like back then she was kind of anti-war, and now she's all about this war and picking up the mantle and keeping it going for Madrigal. And I was just like, looking back after I've seen the episode, I'm like trying to think what the flashback was for. Was it just to reintroduce us and remind us of what her dad's face looks like? So when she sees the apparition in her dream later, we know and understand that's her dad.
Yeah,
But she,
yeah, right. Was that, yeah, was that the sole purpose of it? Because
yeah,
even that character that they introduced, that was pointless, and everyone at that table besides her is dead.
yeah, it was very strange. Like just really weird for them to do that. Yeah, so that essentially there's a family argument at the dinner table. She storms off, and that's about it. There was no revelations as far as
Yeah,
that
no, she
flashback.
stood on top of that outpost, and all of a sudden it went current time, and that's when we seen her in the buggy. That's when we seen Soren on Rebel.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When it goes to Soren and he's already back, in his home planet,
How did he get there? If he
how did he
took
get there?
a regular transport, there's no way he got there that quick. He didn't have a ship, so
And I was confused because I thought for sure that it was a flashback with Soren. I thought maybe, okay, so maybe in this episode they're going to give us one or two flashbacks of these characters, Soren and Kwan, to give us a little bit more, flesh out their characters a bit more. And I was like, okay, I'm down for that.
some
But
backstory.
but then I wasn't. But then I realized that well, okay, Soren is actually talking about him being a Madrigal, and they ask about Kwan. Oh wait, so this isn't a flashback. Oh,
Yeah,
he's actually already back home. Wait, I'm confused.
it's like how did he get there so quickly?
Yeah,
And then you have his crew basically. What Squirrel? I love his name, Squirrel.
Squirrel. It was
Is
funny.
is basically starting to call him out. So you took the girl, you kept. I guess you went ahead and you kept the bounty,
Yeah,
and you came back with no ship. So that you're starting to see cracks within his actual leadership or his control over here on Rebel, and it's one of the best lines of the show. This episode, was like little squirrels gathering his nuts.
right. Yeah.
I thought that was funny. I was like, oh, that was
Soren
kind of
was
clever.
good in this whole back. If this was a flashback and like backstory, I would have been into it. I would have been like, okay, so this is the relationship that Soren has with his pirate gang, and like I was into that because I want to like Soren as a character, but so far like they haven't given me much plot wise to hang
I'm
on
past
to.
it.
Yeah,
Like when we originally got him, and we seen him for the first time in Rebel, and John showed up and that whole deal. It's like,
yeah,
oh, okay, this is pretty cool. We got someone that basically defected. He is essentially trained up to what he was probably a teenager when he left.
right. And he's both a pirate and a family man, and like, okay, let's get into this character.
Yeah, so he's deadly.
And then he was just a babysitter for 3 episodes.
Yeah, and then he
Yeah,
keeps on falling back. Well, I gave John my word. What's your why are you so?
right.
Why are you two so connected? Because you've been disconnected for 15 plus years now.
Yeah.
So the majority of your life you've been separated. So why are you holding so dear to your word to John about,
I don't know.
keeping her safe when she's been nothing but a thorn in your ass?
Yeah, it's so funny because you and I, when we do these after shows, like we're gonna tell you if we didn't like something, we're gonna tell you
Oh,
about
we're
it.
not going to hide it from you.
No, we're not gonna like shine it up real nice and give you some positive thing. We just didn't like it.
Yeah, and you can look back to our other shows too. You can see that we were glowing about
Yeah,
the other episodes. This is the first turd that they've
yeah.
given us. And I didn't guess, like I mentioned to you before we went live here, every show is bound to give you one.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
My only problem with it, it was an hour long turd.
yeah.
So it was
It
one of
was a
those
long
loopy
episode,
poopies.
right?
And and oh wow, so that's a way back joke. And
Yeah.
it was episode 7. There's only 9 episodes.
Yes.
So we got the penultimate episode coming up next week. So how are they going to build off this and give us? I mean, for all intents and purposes, it told us how the show's going to this season's going to end. It's
Right.
going to end on Madrigal
Right.
around this well, and somehow John is going to go ahead and make Madrigal safe, so the well will go ahead and reveal its purpose.
Yeah, being a portal somehow
Yeah,
to
being a portal or its
something.
purpose or
Yeah.
what controls it or one of those things. That was something that was an interaction between Kwan and her father. It was like the portal or the well won't actually tell us what it is until Madrigal is safe.
Kinda like this whole show. Halo's not gonna explain itself to the very end of the season here, just hold on.
I
Just
don't
keep
know. I
waiting.
don't know what is the portal a part of the keystone? Is a key because the keystone was they made Madrigal so important.
Right,
They
right.
found the keystone on Madrigal. Now they got this portal on Madrigal.
Mhm.
The UNSC wants to control Madrigal because of its natural resources. It's like
Yeah.
there's so much revolving around this one planet, but the universe is huge. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like the argument that everyone says about Star Wars. It's like they make the universe so small when it's actually as vast as the Star Wars universe is. I feel like the Halo universe is massive,
Right.
but
Or
we're
it should feel
getting
that way, but we're only
yeah,
getting, like, 2 planets here
we're
going
getting
back and forth.
Reach. We got Uranus or Endorus or whatever it is, and we also got and I also got
Eridanus,
yeah, Ridness. There we
that's what it
go.
was, yeah, and
And we
Madrigal.
got okay, we got four because we got Rebel 2 and Madrigal. So we got a
Yeah, yeah,
total of
yeah.
four, planets, four locations. But even those locations feel small.
What about, so Kwan, we mentioned earlier, she comes out of that flashback, she starts to, put the pedal to the metal, going into the sandstorm for some reason, I don't know. Are you supposed to just zoom through a sandstorm? I didn't get the character beat there.
Without goggles on or
Oh,
anything to
right,
protect
yeah,
your eyes.
does she
Oh,
have a death wish
and
or
then on top of all that, when you see something, just stop and get off. I
Right,
mean, you're asking to be abducted or shot
yeah.
or killed or something for your, for what you're driving.
Maybe it's
So
something we missed as far as how do you find these mystics that she's been looking for.
I don't know.
She
It's a
got the
mystery to
news.
me.
It is a mystery, but that's what this group are. It's a group of women that her father had run into years prior. It's these mystics, and they are very mystical. They're wearing like cool headdresses and robes and flowy, and they make her drink this.
The
I thought it was. I did like the I guess the set dressing and I thought her dream sequence was kind of cool. Like because she's just full of rage, and the mystics are like, "You're not ready," and like she's like, "Damn that, I am ready."
all I have is my rage.
All I have, yeah, I was hanging on there. I was like, "Okay, that's a cool beat. A little bit more character progression. Let's see how they work with this." They make her go through the whole dream sequence transformation with which, Boba Fett that had a dream sequence kind of thing recently. It's like you have to make this passage, this inner journey, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Through like visions. And she does. She drinks the fire water, she passes out, immediately goes into LSD dream sequence.
And she's
And
back on the ship with John. It's
yeah, which threw me off, which eventually evolves into Master Chief being in that tent with her. And who's the other guy, the crazy guy that's walking around
as
on all fours?
Wraith.
Wraith, right.
Wraith. Yeah, I
Yeah.
love his character.
Mhm.
His character when he was, we seen him for the first time on Rebel when Soren took John to see him, and we found out that he was also a blessed one. I love everything about his character. The actor that plays him is
He's
phenomenal.
going for it.
The
Yeah.
way he
He's
moves
all in.
around, the way he laughs, the way I mean, he is full in that character, and I 100% believe that character.
And now it's kind of cool because I feel like this because we know the backstory between her and Master Chief. Master Chief was the Spartan that actually indirectly or directly was the one that killed her mother that
Yeah,
was in this meeting, right? So of course she's been holding on to this rage against him too. She kind of had to put it on hold due to circumstances earlier in the season. But
but she
she's
was.
got rage towards him.
But if you think about it, she's the one that led him to removing his pellet indirectly.
Yeah,
Remember when the conversation about do you question anything?
right.
And he was like, no, then or wouldn't you question everything if you question something? I think that conversation they had I think it was episode 1
Yeah.
is what led to him removing his pellet.
And what's interesting, I think this dream, it had a bit of a or this vision that she's going through, it had a bit of an effect where it probably beat that rage because she had her moment where she was just like letting loose, like here's different weapons to try to beat up Master Chief, and she's
He
just
kept on killing her.
yeah, and he of course he would. He kept on killing her over and over again, progressed from a knife to a gun until finally she's just like beating him with a rock. But it's like when you're angry, you're full of rage, and you go into one of those rage rooms and take a baseball bat to a bunch of like dishes and stuff. You just gotta
Yeah,
like work through that rage and that anger. And that's what the Mystics were trying to do with her. She wasn't ready because she had all that rage in her.
because when she started smashing the rock on Master Chief's armor, and she's just laying in front of him crying, you
Yeah.
see a smile come upon like the leading mystic, whatever
Yeah.
I do. I never called her name. All I know is she was like, babe, you can tell she was a leader.
And at that point, when she's defeated on the ground, that's when Master Chief transforms into John, more of
Yeah,
a
his
real
helmet's off,
person. Yeah,
and then they walk out. Next thing you know, he's out of his armor,
and he's
and
guiding her.
yeah, he's just
Yeah,
taking her to where that well is, where the portal is.
right. And I thought the visualization of all of her, like, her
That
family,
was
that line
cool.
of
I
family, yeah.
really like that.
Because, like, what a great way to visualize that, just like your ancestors from one generation to the next, until finally, walking closer towards her, and with each step, it was a different person, until finally it was her own father right in front of her.
What'd
The
you
whole
think of her dad calling her Kwan Ha? It's like he kept on calling her Kwan Ha, not just Kwan, like my daughter Kwan, but he
Right.
was saying Kwan Ha.
I don't know. Well, I guess if it was actually her dad, then that would be weird. But if this was just some sort of internalization, it's if it's like all in her head.
But even in her head, I would think he'd be referring to me as just Kwan. He knows
Yeah,
my
yeah.
last name.
I don't know. Is Kwan is Ha their last name? Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
No,
look, I
he's
don't know.
laughing at her. Ha!
This we are talking about this episode, right? Which has some pretty piss poor writing in it, so
Yeah.
maybe they neglected that. I don't know.
Let's do this, guys. If you're here for us and you're here for the first time, thanks for joining us. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. This is the Halo After Show. This episode seems to be a little more negative than the ones have been in the past.
Right.
We have the other six prior to this that if you want to see, make sure that we're not just dumping on the show just to dump on the show.
Yeah.
Check those out, hit like on those ones, share those ones. But if you're back and you're joining us, again, thank you so much. You know the routine. We love comments, any of those questions. We'll go ahead and respond to them live, and we'll keep it going. And if you're not watching live, drop them below. We'll go ahead and respond as well.
So all in all, honestly, her vision quest that she goes through, I actually liked quite a bit. I liked her getting her aggression out on Master Chief, and I liked her seeing her ancestors. That stuff all kind of worked for me. But then once she's out of it, it just kind of went back down. After that, I'm not even sure what happens. I guess we flash
Well,
back to Thorn.
her father told her to go back to where it all began. So she
Right.
winds up back at the outpost where episode one took place, where the original battle, and she found the keystone and the Covenant attacked, and all of that. And
I'm
I like
curious.
how it was still in like ruin.
Yeah,
You've
yeah.
seen the elite soldiers
Hmm.
just laying down, just faces bashed in or hanging from things. You've seen the effects of the Spartans coming in and laying the waste.
Yeah, that was cool to return back to this location after it, because this was pretty much the entirety of episode one. This location.
Yeah.
And I was curious when when he said something as vague as "go back to where it all began." I'm like, well, how far back? Like back to Earth? Like, how much does Earth involve in the Halo galaxy? I'm not quite sure. It seems like, is it not important anymore? Is it just trashed, and like, does nobody care about Earth anymore? But I guess this is what he meant, back to where literally where the season of television
Yeah,
started.
and what I took it as she was probably born there.
Yeah.
She's probably That's probably all she really knew. Because I remember in the beginning of it, she was talking about wanting to leave the planet,
Hmm.
wanting to go somewhere else, get off planet, and see the rest of the universe.
Yeah.
And now that she's back, here, that's where it started. And I thought it was awfully, convenient. Then all of a sudden, she found all these letters that her dad,
Right.
I guess, had it from her grandfather, just to kind of move the story along.
You know how long it would actually take to find some letters, like, in a house? I don't know, but, maybe for the sake of time, they skip through her searching, to make it more enjoyable, I don't know.
But guess who she hears rustling around outside?
Well, Soren, so
Old 006 is back.
here's what I wanted to bring up too. So, Soren had we mentioned Soren had this whole he was back home with his wife. He was there long enough to have execute this robbery, or this heist with his the guy
Yeah.
Squirrel. Squirrel was a member of his pirate gang that felt that Soren didn't have it anymore, and Soren was intimidating him. This is at least a few weeks' time, probably. I mean, it takes at least a week to like prepare this heist and do this heist, and
You would
um,
think, yeah.
I would think, yeah. And then he does it. He drops the payload on the squirrel's foot. He intimidates him again. Like, yeah, better get back in line or
Or you
whatnot.
think you can fill my shoes.
Yeah, and then he has a conversation with his wife again about Kwan. Oh, the colonel or whatever had tripled her bounty
Well, he's
now,
like, I
and
bet she's dead. If the desert didn't get her, the
yeah.
or Venture already has.
Hmm.
You say, oh well, she's alive. They've tripled her bounty.
He's been gone on a conservative number. Been gone maybe a week, like a day to get off planet, go back home. Even if they had a party that night, and then to like have a few days to do this heist, and then leave, and a day's travel to get back here to Madrigal. At least a week, at the very least. But
Yeah.
somehow, as far as Quan's perspective, this has not been a week.
No, no. This has been really timey wimey type of.
And here's another thing. When Soren pops up again, he's in his same exact that's why I was like, did they just do that to pad time or something? Because when Soren pops up, he's in the same exact outfit that he was when she dropped him in the episodes prior. He was still all dusty. There was no lines of dialogue about him being off planet and coming back. You literally could have cut that entire storyline of him going back to his home,
Yeah,
and
it's
it would have
completely
changed a
irrelevant.
thing. You would have just assumed that he woke up in the desert and caught up to her. And that actually would have made more sense timeline-wise than him taking this trip back home. So I'm not sure what was happening there.
Yeah, no, that was. I don't know. I mean, I'm reaching here, but the only thing I can think of is if there's going to be some type of cracks that happens on Rebel with him, and they were laying the groundwork for that, maybe for next season. But I mean, that's just me reaching.
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Yeah, that
I feel
that
like they
was really lost for that.
They could have had that squirrel storyline tucked somewhere else during the season. Even if before we meet the character, honestly. If our first introduction was to Soren was that, we see him in the flashback when he was younger, and then in that episode we see that squirrel plot line, and then John shows up.
And then we
That
find
would have
out who he really is.
Yeah, we had to have that backstory. Oh, this is an intimidating guy. He knows how to keep his pirate gang in check. It would have informed us so much more when
Mhm.
John steps into the picture, right? So I don't know. I was dumbfounded, and especially when he came back looking exactly how he did before. I'm like, these producers must have just like added that storyline just to pad the episode or time. Like
Just add time to it, yeah, because it looks
this
like
was a
they shot
functional
it
thing.
continuously from where it left off to where they are now.
Yeah.
So they didn't
And
even take a
the
break.
fact that he had made no mention of leaving and coming back or anything like that,
Yeah.
they're just acting as though they had just seen each other recently. Um,
Yeah, that whole thing was confusing.
yeah.
And then, I mean, once again, you have a little 100-pound girl keeping dude's gun. I mean, he just I mean, yeah. He's keeping all these pirates in line, and this little itty bitty little
He's
girl.
having he's
It
calls her a pain in the ass.
it's gonna be like that, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's another point of contention too, where it's like, I don't know. And I mean, the rest of the episode, they team up. They're back on this like fuel pumping station.
yeah, the
Um,
hydrogen or something like that that's gonna be pumping, and
yeah,
I,
Venture comes up with his gang of baddies, UNSC baddies, and they're out to shoot him.
are they
And
even UNSC? I think they're just basically his like henchmen,
yeah, that may be. I think they're an offshoot or some group that UNSC has established here, or
or
is at least leaving them alone for right
I think
now.
it's one of those things. I'm not going to pay attention as long as you let us have access to the planet.
Right? Yeah,
Just turn
yeah,
a blind eye type deal.
yeah. I mean, UNSC, they're not totally, absolved. It's not totally on the up and up. But no, I don't know if they're like directly involved with
Yeah,
putting a bounty on Quan or
and
anything.
dude, well. Okay, so let's get into this whole battle thing here. I
Hmm.
mean, once again, we see Soren running around and whooping some ass. Little girl keeps his gun. He whoops full grown men ass.
All right,
Okay.
all right.
But he got his gun back, and Kwan is actually kind of crawling through tunnels to get over to where she needs to open this vent. But
Yeah,
they find this whole thing of money. You see him just looking at it. He's like, "Do I
yeah.
just take it and leave?"
Well, here's the thing, it's a lunchbox or some metal tin that looks like a metal lunchbox full of coins, and, like, I don't know what these things are. It literally could be a lunchbox full of quarters, And, I guess through his reaction, we're supposed to assume that it's a lot
I
of money,
figured it was
but
deuterium. I figured it was a
yeah,
lot of money. Like if you flipped open a briefcase and it's all $100 bills.
yeah,
That
and
I
then
mean,
she
they
was
got the
like
reaction out of me. I was able to make the conclusion or connect those dots relatively
I
quickly.
was a bit confused because then she looked at him and she was like, "What? I told you I was rich." And I was like, "Well, wait, did she actually mean that, or was she being, like, sarcastic? Like, I'm rich as though I've got a lunchbox full of my allowance that I've saved over a few years." Like, I just, like, went right past it because I was kinda confused there for a minute.
Yeah, no, I pretty much connected to being deuterium, and I'm guessing
Okay.
that's just the form of currency they have in the Halo world.
Oh, I
So
see.
that didn't bother me at all.
What else about this battle bug you?
I mean, you see Soren going around whooping everybody,
Yeah,
and I love when Venture must be a marksman because I
right.
mean he picks down everyone one shot.
Oh, all his guys are awful shots, but
They're
yeah.
all stormtroopers,
Yeah,
and then you have one guy that can actually hit something.
yeah.
And I mean, he
Which
hits him in the neck.
it
It looked
looked
like a
like,
neck
yeah,
wound.
it looked like a pretty mortal wound, yet, Soren, the rest of the episode, basically just had to, pat it dry, and he was good.
Yeah, he
Just a
put
flesh
something
wound.
on it and kind of walked away. I'm like,
Look, I don't know the
oh,
Halo rules in this universe, right? Like, who knows what kind of med kit
I
he was
don't
able
know
to
the
apply to
rules within this episode.
that.
This episode's got me baffled. I'm like, I'm not sure where to go with this one here.
Yeah.
I did love seeing Venture like fumigated.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
that was cool.
enjoyed seeing that character go because he was just swarmy. I just didn't.
Yeah, I'm glad he's gone too. I'm glad we didn't delay that any further. Like, it needed to end this episode, this
Yeah.
conflict between Kwan and, this guy, Venture. Which I'm glad it's over. And it was a cool setting to revisit the setting in a new way, with exploding the gas line that was going up to the sky.
Now the setting's completely gone.
Oh yeah, you can't even do anything with the setting anymore, really.
Also something else I picked up. What did you think of Quan finding John's gun?
That made sense to me because I specifically remember John like tossing his rifle
That's
aside at one point to pick up some other way, like a heavy gun or something.
Well, yeah, that's right. He got the Gatling gun. He threw his son. He had the
Yeah,
Gatling gun. He was walking up. It was one of those things that we were talking about in the first episode. Was why is it working for him and not
right.
the militia?
Yeah, so his gun being left over in the battlefield, like, I guess that made sense, especially if no one else had been there since that battle.
And everything was left the way it was. And the only thing that was taken were the bodies.
Right. Um, if you sit here and think about it too much, then that gun probably wouldn't still be sitting there. But,
Yeah,
I
definitely the
mean,
type of gun it was.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, then I said she blew it up. It went boom. Uh, and it started raining with the blue sky. Did you catch the blue sky and rain?
oh my god, dude, yeah, that's another thing. So,
That's like
there's this
attention to detail this time. They didn't catch the detail.
there's this fuel line that's going up into the sky, and I assume that it's pumping this, like, liquid kind of fuel out from the ground and up into the air to whatever station or space station's up, whatever, however that works.
Yeah.
I just know it's pumping fuel up and through this, metal and up into the sky. They blow that part up, so that part's blowed up, and when this stuff comes falling down and they're, like, lifting their face to feel the rain, there was a moment where I thought they were letting, like, gasoline, like, liquid fuel just, like, soak over them. I thought it was, like, stuff from that thing that just exploded. Especially when you said, like, "Yeah, no, it's actually rain." Okay, I look up in the sky, I don't see any stormy skies or it
Yeah.
looks like
Now I
clear
didn't think of the
sunshine.
fuel hitting their face, but yeah, come to think of it, that had to have gone somewhere. That pipeline was going somewhere.
It was pumping something, right?
And
Um,
yeah, and yeah, and
was
then
it
the
rain or
rain
was it
and the
fuel? And if it was
blue
fuel, why were they
sky.
letting
Yeah,
it
they're all
hit
gonna
it?
burn now. I mean,
I don't
chemical
know.
burns.
It was
That
like one last moment of being confused in this episode where it had a lot in an episode that had a lot
of
of
just full of confusion.
yeah.
And I mean, I think the end of that episode is leading way to John coming back next episode.
Yeah, her dad, the vision of her dad says as much. "Oh, he'll be back," or he's on his way," or whatever.
Well, that was before her dad.
Oh,
It was
right,
that other
yeah.
guy was standing at the actual portal, and when John walked
Yeah.
away, he said something like to the extent of, "Oh, he'll be back, or you'll see him again."
I guess the
Or
first of her ancestors that actually came to Madrigal first, yeah.
yeah, the first one that was a guardian or whatever they wanted to call him.
Right. So, questions whether or not we'll see these mystics again or anything else like that. Questions if, I mean, in the penultimate episode, are we going to see Kwan and Soren again, or they're just going to hang here until John does come back in the finale? He's
I
very
hope that no, they can't. They gotta continue what they did 2 episodes ago, and
yeah,
the ones 4, they were giving us storylines,
right,
just kind of pulling everything together, keeping those, threads weaved pretty tightly because we thought at one point we were all gonna wind up. I mean, we have Makey out there, and who knows
right,
what's gonna
right,
happen with her,
yeah,
and she's with John, and they went ahead and they were on that, which I'm pretty certain was a Halo raid in that last episode. Well, that's where we left that.
yeah.
So has time passed? Did this happen while that was happening? Or did that happen? You know what I mean? Where is the timeline in essence of what's going on here?
Yeah, I
This
don't
shouldn't
know.
be this wasn't hard to follow before. This wasn't a
Yeah,
Witcher instance, season 1 of Witcher,
right.
where
Yeah,
there was three
call
different
back.
timelines running and they all merged together at the end. This has been one cohesive storyline.
This has been, and I even said as much during one of our after shows, after like episode 2 or 3 or even 4, where I was a fan of the fact that they had good pacing and they were going back and forth with this plot, and it was like narratively wise, everything made sense and everything built upon itself, as they were moving forward. And then halfway through the season, it's like they lost the thread, and now they don't even know how to tell the story that they're telling.
Yeah, this is 2
Um,
episodes in a row. Now, I loved last episode because they ditched the storyline we got now.
yeah,
But I mean, they have to continue that storyline, and I feel like this storyline is so tied into, you know, Master Chief,
yeah.
and it's almost like they're one and the same, and we're just not sure. Is Kwan, is she a blessed one?
Oh, right. Yeah, I don't
I
know.
mean, could she be one? All her family, are they blessed ones that are connected to this portal, as well as would be connected to the keystone and the other artifact that's out there that the covenant has. So that's a
Yeah,
whole other storyline. They got the other piece of this artifact. We
yeah.
have 2 hours of this show left,
Right. And they got a
and
lot to
now I
do.
feel like we're out of time. This
Yeah.
episode took so much time that I feel like we have a lot of storyline left and not a lot of time left to tell it.
I get those fears. I do. We said earlier in the this episode that every show is allowed to have an episode or two where it just doesn't work, and doesn't necessarily derail the rest of the season for us. Depending on how the next episode is, we could get right back on track for a great finale. Episode 9. But that being said, it's hard to get back into like the positive vibes of like, okay, 2 episodes left. Let's see where you take us.
Well, I haven't lost hope. I still really enjoy the show.
Yeah,
This episode here just kind of just didn't do it for me.
they're gonna have to do
And
better than this.
oh, they're going to have to do a lot better than this
Yeah,
one here. And we're going to get back to John next episode. But we need a little of Kwan and Soren.
right.
They can't give us a whole episode of John and Makey and no Kwan and Soren. So we got to get a little bit, maybe 15 minutes, maybe of the
I know
hour.
you're actually asking for more Sword and Quan,
But
but at this point, you have to.
yeah, I mean that's really the only reason. It's like we need
Yeah,
to make to connect what just happened in this episode to the rest of the story.
right. I'm there with
But
you.
but
So
man,
that was Inheritance. I'm not sure what the title meant. Besides, I guess she's inheriting her role as a guardian or whatnot
yeah,
for
and
Madrigal.
that's pretty much what I took, yeah,
Yeah.
from that name.
So we will be back next week for sure. A bit of a shorter episode. We don't like to go on and on if we're gonna, bitch and moan about an episode. We'll only go if we're really enjoying what we're talking about. But we will definitely be back next week for episode 8, the penultimate episode of season 1 of Halo. The show will have a season 2. It's already been greenlit. Paramount Plus is desperate to have that Halo franchise. And
Yeah,
and honestly, from what I've been hearing, even though there's a lot of flack from the Halo heads out there as far as this show, it has been pulling in the numbers.
yeah,
There has been a
and
viewership on it.
interesting enough, I went to, return my modem and get a replacement,
Yeah.
and the guy that gave it to me was actually what we consider a Halo head,
Oh
and he
wow.
said he loves the show.
Yeah.
He's played it, and he actually really enjoys the show, and he was like, if they based the show off what the character was actually in the game,
Right.
it wouldn't make a good TV show. He
I'm
said he was
right
kind of
there.
just a I don't think he said mopey, but he was just kind of like a really stoic,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and it really wouldn't have led to a good TV show. But
Uh,
we got Romello that joined us here late, but he
I
joined
know,
us.
yeah, the preview for next episode looks promising at least. Oh, you know what? I haven't watched the
I
preview
haven't
for next
seen that.
episode.
Where did you find that?
Did they play it after the episode? Maybe after the credits and I just didn't stick around?
No, I always done. Marvel's got me trained to go ahead and fast forward through the credits just to check
Yeah,
anything,
yeah.
and I never have not seen anything. So maybe it's up on YouTube itself, or Paramount's got a preview to next week inside their app.
Should we, I mean, we got a little bit of time here. Should we try to find it?
That's fine. Yeah, if you can find it, let's go ahead and go for it.
All right, episode preview, Halo.
Let's see.
Let's see.
This is riveting.
Coming soon, episode 8 trailer here. Okay, maybe this is it. Let me
YouTube
make
always has a preview. Okay.
I'm gonna make sure that I'm not playing some like fan made thing or something. I have to do my due
Oh,
diligence.
I get duped all the time.
You do.
oh, I just got kicked under the bus.
All right. Okay, here we go.
Okay,
I
let's
think
see
I
what.
found it. We're going to share like, share screen. Here, we're gonna share sound. Keep sharing all the live long day.
Okay, so let's.
All right. Let's check out
Let's
what
see.
episode 8 is supposed to look like here.
We can't do anything without John.
And he has turned his back on us.
Why did the Covenant want it so bad?
It's a prophecy.
Propelling all of those who are worthy on their great journey.
This thing seems like a fan made thing to me. Damn it, that was cut weird. Maybe it's
The way it was
Paramount Plus.
bouncing around.
Yeah, it was kind of cut strange.
Is there a Paramount Plus like actual?
I'll look here.
So it was kind of bouncing around.
Yeah, we're live here. Forgive us. Here we go. This is from Paramount Plus.
There we go.
Let me get it prepared here.
Let's try this again.
Okay.
We can't do anything without John. And he has turned his back on us.
The Halo. Why did the Covenant want it so bad?
It's a prophecy. Propelling all of those who are worthy on a great journey.
Orbital defenses were wiped out immediately. The search for survivors has begun.
McKee can show us where they are. She was turned against us, but she is us, Captain.
Chief, people don't just manually override decades of indoctrination.
I did.
Oh,
Signal the Spartans.
What about Master Chief? Why isn't he here?
He can no longer be trusted to stay on mission.
This is dirty business, all of it.
They need us, Cortana, to save them from themselves.
Ooh, Halo theme. Hey.
okay,
Yeah.
but we're getting just one storyline again. If it's based off that trailer, I liked it. I enjoyed
I liked
that.
it too. I liked it too. Well, that doesn't necessarily mean we won't see Soren. I mean, that was just what, a minute out of 50 minutes. Okay, I'm back. I'm back in it, baby. That episode looks good.
Yeah, no, they're turning their back on John, and then the only one that was questioning was Kai.
Yeah.
So oh man, now I don't want to wait, dude. You did it to me, Romero. I mean,
Romello did a good job. We were kind of bummed. You turned it back around for us.
Oh man, so yeah, I want to see that. I'm interested in that whole deal. What kind of? So looks like we're gonna get a lot from the actual Covenant this episode.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get a lot from the Covenant. We're gonna get a lot from John and all of them and Makey. So there's a couple storylines that they're gonna be given there. So they may not have time to go ahead and give us anything from Soren and Kwan.
Which honestly, I could see them, even though it feels like we need more from Kwan and Soren. I can maybe. It's possible that we don't see them again until the finale when John actually gets back to Madrigal, and then she finds John somehow and been like, "I'm actually a guardian here," and let me like she fills him in real quick on her role there or something, and that's how they leave it. I don't know.
Do you think John is going to go AWOL?
They're
That
pointing
trailer
towards
kind of
that.
gives me the idea that he's going to go AWOL. He's going to leave.
Yeah,
If
I
they're
feel like
leaving
they're
him
pointing to that.
behind, yeah. And frankly, Cortana can't stop him. We found that out in the last episode.
Yeah.
She can shut him down, but she can't stop him. So if he is somewhere else, or how much control, you know what I mean? There's still
If
some.
if he goes rogue, does that somehow play into Halsey's overall plan? Like maybe she's, you know how she's been kind of like at a distance this whole time and kind of let John take the chip out, like the pellet out, and
Yeah.
been really kind of hands off when it comes to that stuff. Like maybe him going AWOL is like all a part of whatever thing that she has planned, whatever end game Halsey has too. Um, I don't know because she doesn't seem too worried, at least in the little clip that we saw of her.
Well, she was the one saying John cannot be trusted. That was her
Yeah.
voice saying that. If I heard that correctly, that's why he wasn't going.
I mean, but that could be just another thing of like pitting them against him, like enforcing him going. You know what I mean? Like maybe
Yeah.
she wants him to be going rogue. I don't know.
But what if he? Yeah, I mean, him and Makey leave together.
Right.
What kind of situation is he going to put himself with that?
And
Because
yeah, and McKee, like, jury's still out as far as like what her intentions are going to be going forward.
I
Is
like
she
that
gonna be?
line. You don't drop decades of indoctrination. He said,
Yeah,
"Well, I did."
yeah. That was like, ooh, burn. It was a good line. It was a good line.
That was a really good line. I like that. So okay, we're clearly both back on. We're both excited about this next episode. Now we got to wait
Yeah,
until Thursday for it.
yeah. But that's good. Okay, so we're gonna get back on track. We'll probably have a hour plus episode next week, depending on how good episode 8 is. But anyway, we will be back here next week, next weekend, to discuss Halo episode 8, as we are really, charging to the end of this season of Halo. And be sure to join us after Halo if you guys like this content. If you like us discussing shows, we're gonna be doing it for The Boys come early June. It's gonna premiere, I think, June 3rd
June
is
3rd, yeah.
when the boys season 3, the new season premieres on Amazon Prime. So be sure to check that out as well.
Okay, guys, and I guess until we see you next time, uh, catch you later.
See ya.
Oh, whoa.